You know what? I don't.
Okay.
It's because I feel sorry for you kids.
Okay. So there's a lot of talk about the debt, and it's been on my mind to discuss this for a while. All right. A lot of people just look at government debt and freak out completely, but they really shouldn't be. All right, because here's the thing: governments borrow all the time, and it is actually a very efficient way to finance the country. And whenever you think about debt, you keep thinking about, oh, my kids are going to have to pay it off. My kids are going to have to pay it out. Their grandkids are going to pay it off. We're never going to do it. You know what? Actually, we have done it. That guy from that video, he's old enough to be a baby boomer, I guess. He was born at a time when all countries in the world were borrowing way more than they could afford to finance a little thing known as World War II. Here you go. That's Britain. Britain borrowed from the US and a couple of other developed countries at the time, and a lot of domestic debt as well. They had war bonds that they used to put out. But you'll notice one thing: this amount over here kind of seems tiny, right? Like this at the time, that was 1/3 of their GDP. It says right there, 33% of their GDP. But it's just 21 billion. I mean, that's a day's worth of government spending now. That's because of a small little thing known as inflation. Let me put it to you this way: you borrow a certain amount of money, you have maybe 25-30 years to pay that off, because as a family they expect you to pay that off within 25-30 years. But a country can take hundreds of years to pay it off. Like, they can take very long. And over the course of 100 years, when you take 2-3% inflation, the value of that money keeps going down while the GDP keeps going up, right? For 100 years, GDP in the UK has been going up. I mean, not impressively, but better than inflation, which is why they paid it off completely in 2006. Like, it basically was worth nothing by the time 2006 came around. Like, this was 70-80 years after the war. A government can afford to do that. You can't afford to do that as a family, right? Like, you can't take 100 years to pay off a loan, but a government can take 200 years to pay off a loan. It's fine. Now, here's another thing. When you think about the government borrowing in Canada, that's the debt to GDP ratio in Canada. Canada's 106, which, first of all, you'll notice is better than all of our peers, like most of them, except for the United Kingdom, I guess. But it's lower than most of them, lower than, well, Germany's also lower. You get the picture, 106. But households have just about the same. Like, it's 107. Remember, I just told you that a family doesn't have the capacity to borrow as much as the government. First of all, the government borrows at a lower rate, has hundreds of years to pay it off, and can just raise taxes tomorrow. They can just finance that debt tomorrow. All right? Or they can just keep printing to cause more inflation and make the value go down. They can do all that, which a family can't. But families have borrowed just as much. So everyone who's going out and complaining the government's taking too much debt, you have taken too much debt. You have taken too much on credit cards, on auto loans, on houses. The biggest houses in the G7 are in Canada, and you guys have borrowed through your nose more than the government to finance that. Which is why your credit rating might not be as good, but Canada has one of the best credit ratings in the world. I mean, these credit rating agencies, they don't owe anything to us, all right? They go around giving these ratings to all the countries because investors need that, like big banks need that. We've got a AAA rating, which is higher than the United States. The United States is a AA plus because their debt to GDP ratio is higher than ours. So stop freaking out about the debt, all right? It's going to be fine. Your grandkids are probably going to have to pay it, but by the time they get to that stage, it's going to be worth way less, all right? It's not the same as a household. The government can just erase that money tomorrow. Also, here's another option that the government has that you don't have. The government can just refuse to pay it, which happens a lot. Governments just default on debt. Canada's probably done that in the past, and technically even the US has done that in the past. They just say, no, we won't pay you. What are you going to do? Get a military attack them? When was the last time anyone ever did that? Did you hear that about Argentina? Argentina defaults on its debt every 10 years or something. Do you think we take a ship, go out there and attack them and tell them, give us our money back? No. You lose money. An investor, a hedge fund that loses money because a government defaulted on debt cannot do anything. Think about that. A bank What is a bank going to do in a country? What are they going to do? Attack you if your country doesn't pay it back? Get serious.